Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Oh, yes. I love it. Okay. So this photograph, okay, for people who don't know, so Hong Kong Island is an island. Do you want to get that?
No. You go. There's something with this picture, but I need to know what it says. I can't remember.
No problem. So Hong Kong Island is an island, and what the funny kind of way that as the city planners, urban developers, whatever, want to create new land, because Hong Kong is quite it's quite hilly. So what they do is they reclaim parts, fill up the harbor with soil, and then they just create flat land. And so that's kind of, you're shooting down onto this reclaimed area where it's like tamped ground, where they created this like temporary stage, and across it, there aren't many people yet, but there are all these taxis. And in Hong Kong, the taxis are red with white roofs. The stage is some red. I mean, this looks like one of those Hong Kong government inaugural something or other events. And behind it is the sort of the Ferris wheel up just there to give a bit of cityscape. And behind you can just see the exhibition center and a lot of the skyscrapers and all this stuff. And then you see across the water from the harbor to the other side, which is Kowloon side. So yes, you're shooting from above and you're looking down at this kind of scene, probably high noon or close to it.
Yeah, it's ugly light.
Yeah. So what is this photo, and por qué?
Well, so I got to get the ferry to come off this island. You come into Central, and when you get to Central, you walk across the walkway into IFC or whatever. So this is actually shot from the walkway, and now it's a big building site.
Yeah.
I was just fascinated by the scene. All the taxis all have the same stickers on them. They were all lined up. I arrived literally 2 minutes later than I'd have liked. He shot a bunch of pictures and then tried to go down and do it. Anyway, I loved this picture. I didn't really understand why or what. And then I Google translated what it says on the thing. And this is Google translation. This is the successful conclusion of the Legislative Council election, the success of Hong Kong's democratic system, and launching economy of the parade of provincial level fellowship associated in Hong Kong.
Yes.
Hurrah to that. And I called it after the party.
Right.
Because they've finished.
Okay, yes.
They're all like leaving.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's because there's no more opposition party.
Right.
I don't know what it was about.
Right.
So for me, it's a really interesting time to be in Hong Kong. We don't know.
Yeah.
You got to be a bit careful what you say. You got to be careful what you think.
Yeah.
And here's this image, and for me, it's kind of my Hong Kong picture. I don't think I'll ever get a picture that is more Hong Kong than this picture.
Okay. So what's interesting is that this really shows. It's funny how little signals and anchors reveal so much, right? So in this case, just about half of the image, the bottom half, is this tamped earth, right? Because this is all like fake flat ground that's just been created, and so it's all like brown, and on this brown, very light brown, and on this light brown are these red taxis with, as you said, the uniform kind of stickering on it, light blue stickering, and then the stage further up is like, it echoes like the background, the backdrop that they set up for the stage is kind of like the stickering, the same kind of color, and then the stage itself is red like the taxis, and the seats are white like the taxi roofs. So it's this really interesting interplay of color that is there's that repetition, but essentially it's dead, right? There's no life to it because there's one guy kind of looking at probably his phone, but it's
well, he was directing the taxis.
Okay. So, but essentially it's just earth, taxis, stage, non-biotic, and then there's this tiny little sliver with trees and a bit of green, and then there's the lightish blue, kind of gray of the harbor, and then there's the buildings, and then the far distant hills, and then the blue and white sky. So going back to this idea of color, like even if you don't explicitly at the time decode, and you're just kind of reacting, because of that training in photography and your framing, it's like so much has been packed into this one frame. And it is kind of telling. Okay, so you said this kind of captures Hong Kong.
At this time.
Yes.
At this time. Yeah, so this was taken probably the end of last year.
Okay.
I think it was the end of last year. And because now this is a big building site. So it was just before that happened. So it'd be easy to find out when that was.
Yeah.
And then, I just think that it's just a very now picture. And in a way, not... So when I started this project, I looked at all of the people who had done books on Hong Kong.
Right.
And I looked through them all, and I made a big, long list of all the things that I couldn't take pictures of.
Ah, okay.
So no Goldfish Market, no Crosshatch with a red taxi, no Sunset Pier, no... Yeah. I went through I think there's like 65 things in my list. And I was like, holy moly, what does that leave? and so I'm always trying to find a different angle, a different take on telling a story. And so this, for me, is a very Hong Kong... I don't think any Hong Kong photographer would take this picture.
Right, okay. Have you met Michael Kistler?
Don't think so.
His photographs tend to be... he was on the podcast. He was Guaylo like us, came in and left. I think now he's in Singapore. He tends to do reflections.
Right.
So would he... Like, everybody sees the world slightly differently.
That's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, and so would other photographers respond or react to this scene? Not at that moment, that time maybe, but you did. And okay, so let's pull back. Generalize the situation, right? Like
the Hong Kong situation?
No, your
my situation.
Life.
Okay, my life.
Yeah, not you necessarily. Just the sort of the interface between us and the world. Okay, so somebody listening to this from Tanzania or from Montreal or Hawaii, how do we reduce this into something for somebody listening to say, oh, wait a second, I resonate with that. Like, in terms of your place in Hong Kong society as an other, as an outsider, now becoming an insider, because that's kind of a lot of Hong Kongers are like us,
Well, so this whole project was about me trying to find my Hong Kong. And that's why I looked at all the other books. That's why I looked at what people were shooting and made a list and said, no, none of that stuff.
Wow.
Because that's not my Hong Kong. That's someone else's Hong Kong. And it's the hardest thing in the world to try and find your own voice, your own style, your own whatever. And so there's this set of pictures, and I put together an Instagram that was specifically for that. And it's, I'm hoping to do a book, etc. And so it's a body of work that is my Hong Kong over a period of time where really interesting things were happening geopolitically, personally, and it's just my way of making sense of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I also realized was that I called it The Ghostly Man. It was kind of about the camera, but it was also about me for obvious reasons. But I realized I was always that, I think, when I got the small camera, it's the first camera, when I wanted a small camera, I always wanted a small camera. I never wanted to be that, probably because I also worked in an environment where I had to hassle people at all levels to get a portrait, to get a moment, to get something. So in my own personal stuff, I didn't want to do that. And this is the slightly controversial bit. The title I want to kind of give the book is that this is a love letter to a place I don't really like.
Okay. Interesting. Yes.
And I think that is what you...
That is a really explosive thing that just landed in my head. You know what? And I'm just going to leave it there. That's a love letter to a place that you don't really like? Right. You're a very cheeky man. I like it. Bingo fong pei.
Exactly.
Means did you fart? Okay, so I love it.
And the project has come to an end because I've bought a new camera.
Okay.
And so I want to close the book on that era of Hong Kong.
Well, okay. Well, I'm going to use that as a nice way to wrap up this episode. And just to say, well, congratulations on closing the book and getting a new camera. Which new camera is it? So then maybe they can sponsor the show.
Oh, I'd love that. It's Leica. I'm getting the new Q3.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah.
And without divulging any other details, I'm just going to say congratulations on, I don't know, well, whatever happened just before we hit record. I'm going to shake your hand on that one.
Thank you, my friend.
Alex.
Lovely to meet you.
Alex, thank you. Fucking great. Fucking great, brother. That's great. Thank you.
Good.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.